Silence in the Highlands. The new Blaser R8 Silence is on test. Meanwhile, Andy the Crowman Crow is on guard and on the pigeons. We have news, we have hunting YouTube. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain.
Here we are on the beautiful Ardnamurchan Peninsula. Quite a treat. The weather is absolutely glorious. For the next 4 days we've come here with a group of international journalists to test not one but two new products that Blaser have recently launched, which is, for one, the R8 Silence with an integrated full-length moderator, and the new Blaser optic with, for me personally, is going to be its first outing in an actual real-life environment, so quite exciting stuff.
We're here as guests of West Highland Hunting's Neil Rowntree.
What we're looking to do at this time of year, we're particularly looking to weed out poorer hinds. And earlier in the season, you'll find that the animals that haven't done well over the summer and winter, and particularly with the cycle of weather we've had the last 3 years, they stand out quite early on in the winter period. So ideally you get them away. So you're taking away competition for grazing, but you're also taking away animals before there's any welfare issues, where, you know, as particularly old hinds. So what we're trying to do is fulfill the role of the predator and take them out. The other thing we're trying to do is, because we have a population of deer that are contained on the Ardnamurchan Peninsula, we're trying to make sure that that population doesn't get out with the carrying capacity of the ground the deer are on. In the days that we have in front of us, we have a spell of decent weather, haven't had it for a few weeks. So what we'll try and do is get ahead with the hinds, and we'll be looking between hinds and calves to shoot between 15 and 20 animals in the next 4 days.
Our stalking ground will be testing for both rifle and stalkers. It's the Ardnamurchan Peninsula. Only accessible by boat, this is the perfect opportunity to test the rifle's seaworthiness. Then there's a good old bump around in an Argo to put the scope and mounts through their paces.
We were hunting here in October, the water was just running down here like two streams.
It doesn't take long for Neil to spot hinds feeding up on the hill.
One laying down looking right at it. It's kind of where I expected them to be today, to be honest. What we will find, I mean, typically how groups of deer sort of create themselves, you'll get a hind will break away from a group, and then you'll get the hind and calf, and then you get the hind, calf and follower scenario. And if that's left unchecked, then what will naturally happen is that group will gain momentum and strength, and it will start to vie for its own hefted area. And if you don't want the population to get a lot bigger, then what we try and do in this landscape here is that in the west coast you'll find up to 10 deer do well in a group. Groups bigger than that, you'll find when the weather's hard, it's harder for them to get into shelter. So what we try and do, and I've always done as a practice, is try and keep the groups in the west relatively small. When I see satellite groups breaking off, unless I want to trade that breaking off group for the group I currently have, because you might say, well, they are superior, what you'll do is you'll whip that group away. So you'll keep group size where you want it, but anything that tries to establish itself, you'll take that away. So that's the social aspects of it. And if you shoot a hind and a calf, and what the Germans call the Schmaltier, the yearling from the year before, it's not particularly kind to her to leave her wandering on her own.
There's a hind, a calf and follower 180 metres away. 550 yards away, there are 2 hinds and 2 calves. And then straight over the top of the hill, at 50 metres, is a big hind and a cull. Okay. The big hind over here, she is quite good. These ones over here, so. And the 4 up the brae, 2 are okay, 2 are not so good. My thoughts are that we take these 3. It's probably easier to get Laurent set up first. So I'll try and get them a little bit. I need to point you out so you can see them. The old deer is on the left, okay? You wait, you see 3. Wait till I get Robert in position. I'll get him to shoot the first one on the left. I'll get Robert will shoot the first one on the left. You shoot the furthest one to the right, okay? The calf, and then the small deer.
It's down. When people look at deer, they need to think about the management of a natural resource which is a component of a landscape. This isn't purely about deer. This is about deer as a resource that we can sustainably use here, that we have to balance with other things. So there's other people in this landscape that farm, that croft, that grow trees, that have aspirations which are entirely sensible, and we have to manage and balance our deer management aspirations to allow them to deliver what they want without conflict. You'll hear classic population models of sort of 40% recruitment, 2 to 5% mortality. That might be nice in an ideal world, but the last 3 years in particular, that's not been the case in the west coast of Scotland. And in some areas, recruitment's fallen to as low as 20%, and you need to factor that in. So what you're doing is you're running constantly ahead, and particularly when you're trying to produce mature stags, which are the life's blood of a Highland deer forest. You want to make sure that you're factoring 4, 5 and 6 years down the road, because if you don't, and I think we will see it in the next 5, 6 years' time, people will be becoming quite distressed that there's no mature stags about. And it's not just a case of any stag will do. There's pretty clear evidence that a lack of mature males will extend the period of the rut, which in its turn will have a knock-on effect on the population. You want a short, sharp rut, because you want all the calves born as early in that summer window as you can get to increase the chances of winter survival.
Next day we take on a different bit of ground, open moorland on the edge of a forestry block in windy, drizzly weather. A nice, gentle Scottish day.
What we do here is places where we want them to come in and out of the forest. We've lowered the fence here so the deer in really hard weather can get into shelter. And what you're naturally seeing here is hinds working off the forest edge. Given the opportunity, red deer will naturally behave this way. They don't carry a lot of fat, is what makes them good to eat. But having access to shelter makes a huge difference to how well they do. Hinds coming out in front of us. You see them? They're exactly what you don't want to shoot. That's 2 really good hinds. Through the trees is a younger beast. It's not that good. There's another group there to our right, going that way. The young hind on the left side, when she turns sideways, you can take her, okay? Yeah. The wind is swirling everywhere. You see her okay? Yes. Are you loaded? Yes. soon as she turns broadside, Alex, shoot out, okay? Okay. Whenever you're ready, shoot her. Okay.
No, she's killed, don't worry. There's a very red coloured beast stood there, do you see it? Just line yourself up on that red coloured one, Robert. It's going to move up a bit there. When it does, if that bottom beast gives you broadside. Is it giving you broadside? Not yet? Good man. Right, what's this third one doing? Is it it's down, so watch and see what the third one does.
Standing.
Broadside?
Yeah.
Take it. Good shot, straight down. What I would say is that the overall standard of marksmanship is constantly improving. People are a lot more diligent about practicing. Years ago, people had their father or their grandfather's rifle. They might fire it 2 or 3 times a year and then go hunting. But consistently now, particularly with European hunters, the standard of marksmanship, probably borne out too with the standard of equipment, because nearly everybody you see now has a bipod, be it a Harris bipod or a Spartan bipod. Everybody has a bipod with their rifle. And good optics, good bipods, good rifles, and decent bit of practice, it adds to the end of the day to a successful hunt, which is what we've just seen. We've been lucky to work with some of the best equipment on the market. In the world we live in, people expect the right kit to do the right job. And there's an awful lot of people who will tell you that kit does the job, and there's nothing more disappointing than, you know, you take it home, take it out of the packet, and it doesn't work. And we very quickly learned that products like the Blaser rifles, that they do what they say they're going to do, and the great advantage is they do what they say they can do continuously, and that's what we want. And we see a lot of people bring them here every year. We're fortunate we've got that kit ourselves, so we actually introduce people to stalking and to hunting using their equipment. And this wants to be top notch, so that when we actually put someone behind that firearm to say that animal needs to come out of the herd, that you can be 100% sure that it's capable of delivering it. And then there are other benefits. I mean, the Blaser Silence, for example, what is attractive to me about that is that the minimum disturbance when you go out and do that job is important. We use the rifle in woodland cover, and an unmoderated rifle, everybody in the group's head would have been ringing like a bell. That particular rifle, you hardly heard it. And in a confined space like that, shooting out from cover into the open, you would have thought the report would have been significant. But you actually saw the deer react, that actually the impact of the bullet was the noisiest thing. So to me, that shows that technology is keeping pace with our aspirations. And that's what they do for us. And to cut to the chase, I mean, the tack driving the accurate out of the box. For many years we did use different manufacturers' brands, and I won't be unkind to them at the moment and name them, but there seemed to be, for me, a problem that there's been a race to the bottom. And everybody wanted to make everything cheaper and more affordable. And you can only make things cheaper by trading away quality. And the thing I like about the Blaser rifle, the saddle mount system, for example, the tolerances are incredible. You can unhook that and hook it back on time after time and it doesn't budge. And if you're going to spend a lot of money on a telescope and you're going to spend a lot of money on a rifle, then the way you tie the two together is hugely important. And we're looking for things that are robust, that they can bounce around in the back of an Argo Cat. They can cope if a guy slips and falls on the hill and still get up and think, do I have to go home and zero my rifle now? And if you're in a position when you're managing a natural resource and that happens, then you've got the dilemma, do I take a risk or do I go back and try this rifle on the target? And if you've got products you can rely on, then you can say, no, that's fine, that weapon can cope with that, and on you go.
Thank you, Neil and Robert. And if you want to see some explainers on how to set up your Blaser rifle and scope, you can click on the eye symbol top right. Robert has filmed some. Now, from noise suppression to white noise, it's David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. Pop singer Pink is getting the gun vote in the USA. Pink's husband, Carey Hart, posted a video of himself teaching their 7-year-old daughter, Willow, how to use a rifle. Sharing the video to his 913,000 followers, the former motocross racer said the child was getting pretty good after he started her shooting at 3 years old. The Countryside Alliance has posted a film of hunt saboteurs harassing police at a hunt meet in Cheshire in January. According to the Alliance, the policewoman was faced with abuse and ignorance as anti-hunt extremists spoke to her.
No, I'm not going to walk away. Make them go away. Make them go away.
I've got to make any if they're not doing
Well, what are you telling me to do then?
I'm not. I'm just asking you.
I'm not walking away. I'm not walking away. You go and do your job and stop them killing more. Do it now.
Antis have been putting pressure on Cheshire Police, and animal rights activists have stepped up their attacks in the county. Suspected Antis stole 2 tame foxes, here seen on BBC Countryfile, after breaking into Cheshire Wildlife Hospital. Antis pulled off a successful ambush of the BBC this week. The League Against Cruel Sport successfully persuaded a BBC news programme that deer hunting with dogs is illegal in the UK. It's not, but that didn't stop the BBC's Radio 4 news programme trying to expose hunting.
The hunt master is David Greenwood, a large man with a florid complexion and a long beard, brandishing a whip.
Excuse me. How do you do? Hello. I'm from BBC Radio 4. Would you mind?
Go away. I'm not speaking to you. If you're going to ride around with them all day without notifying us you're here, I'm not speaking to you. Go away.
Okay.
You know, I am really pissed off with the BBC. This is the second time we've had it done to us. They've had a day dripping poison in your ears, and now you want to come and talk to me. Well, fine, you come and tell me up front you'll be going with them on a day, so I know that you'll be there.
The journalist accompanied lax activists without announcing himself to the hunt until the end, and was surprised when the hunt master refused to speak to him. Meanwhile, Antis have been running wire between trees in order to injure hunters, horses and hounds, according to another Facebook page. The Hunt for Truth page says a Yorkshire farmer checking stock found a thin wire tied across a hunt jump and a number of nails scattered around 2 further jumps. Luckily, the local hunt had cancelled its meet in the area due to frost making riding unsafe. A call to help capercaillie has angered shooters. The government appoints agencies to lead the recovery in various species. RSPB Scotland is in charge of the Capercaillie Biodiversity Action Plan, or BAP, and it has been a failure, with 20 years of conservation measures, including the slaughter of deer, costing £7 million, and the result, a 50% decrease in the capercaillie population. Compare this to gamekeepers' reintroduction of the capercaillie in the 19th century, which led to a 20,000 plus population of these birds by the mid-20th century. A London restaurant says it's striking a blow for the red squirrel after putting the grey squirrel on the menu. Ivan Tisdall-Downs, who runs Native in Borough Market, cooks a delicate grey squirrel pie with sweet pickled onion relish, as well as a squirrel lasagna. He says he's seeing a rise in demand as customers look for wild meat sauces. With banks getting shy about backing gun sellers, one website has opted for cryptocurrencies. The world's largest website for hunting, outdoor sports and firearm products, gunbroker.com, has launched the Freedom Coin. It's pegged to the US dollar, and it can be bought and stored in personal and secure blockchain wallets, which is easily convertible through an app. The company says this will ease the painstakingly brutal financial process. It looks like the trophy hunting trend of outlandish big game is over. In South Africa, the bubble surrounding the trade of rare game has burst, with prices crashing for animals such as black and white impala and golden wildebeest. From 2009 to 2014, prices for exotic game shot through the roof. The selling price of sable rose by 479% and of disease-free buffalo by 540%, according to figures from Wildlife Ranching South Africa. Among investors hit by the downturn is thought to be South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. Before coming president, he invested millions in game farms in Limpopo, earning him the nickname Buffalo Man. In 2012, he sold 3 of his white impala for 28 million rand, around £1.6 million today. And finally, the Daily Mirror posted a story about the RSPCA shooting a muntjac in a suburban garden, but then they took it down. According to the website, a woman was horrified as an RSPCA officer shot a deer with a bolt gun and dumped the carcass on a public walkway. Local resident Lily May Finnerty claims the officer told her a vet was too far away for treatment.
It's not wasteland. Can you explain why you've just killed a deer and chucked it over the hedge from the RSPCA? It's not film. No. This is going on Facebook as soon as I've finished. Okay. So I'll go and put it down now. I've got recorded you.
Spence Affinity posted on Facebook, "This is how the RSPCA deals with wildlife, because it was too far to travel to take it for care." However, it's unclear whether the RSPCA was involved or why the Mirror pulled the story. Thanks to Phil Monckton for sending it in. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Thank you, David. Now Mr. Crow is doing what he does best. Winters are being a bit weird. They're unpredictable, playing havoc with our wildlife and the growing seasons. This year, Andy's rape crop is well ahead and in fine fettle as it's been so mild. So, whereas normally it would be vulnerable to pest damage, over the last couple of months he hasn't needed to be as vigilant with the pest threat.
In normal years, the rape is short, so we've had to hammer the pigeons all the time, bangers, rockets, kites, everything.
However, when the fields are looking this blue, he needs to start making some noise.
Beyond us is about 250 acres that our neighbours have got. They're shooting on there today, and it's worked quite well because they shoot when I shoot. Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to today. I think it'll be a half decent day. Cut. Oh, I love the shot.
So kites and noisy neighbours will, we hope, keep those pigeons moving in the long run. Now Crow and cousin Gary need to decide on the best place for the hide.
What, go here?
Yeah, I think so.
Pull forward a bit.
I shoot this time of year.
Do I? Usually it's hard work this time of year, but like I say, that the pigeons haven't been hammered, so it hasn't. We've been having good days. So usually this time of year, the rape's been hammered. The frost has been on it. It's flat, and the pigeons, they've seen everything. They've been shot at a few times, and one shot and they're up and gone. You're sitting here for 3 hours, 4 hours for half a dozen pigeons. Whereas we've been going out and shooting 100 pluses every time we've been going. So it's been going well.
So why is that?
Because they haven't been hammered. For that reason, they haven't been hammered. If they've been hammered, they hear one shot, they're gone. They're going to sit.
Why haven't they been hammered?
Like I said earlier, because the crops are so far forward, we haven't needed to use the bangers and everything. So next door just started shooting, so they're having a few shots. So we get set up and hopefully see what happens. Okay. You're not my hide any day.
The hide is starting to look like a ghillie suit. We've never seen Andy use bracken before, but it's effective.
I'm getting this old bracken, makes a nice fan, but all I will say is when you're pulling it, be careful because it's dead now, but it still cuts your hands. It's like, it just breaks and it just goes like a razor. It just starts in your hands, so always be careful. A lump of about 150 just come up the hedge, coming in, but there's one there coming off the decoys, but there's no point shooting the big lumps like that because all you do is educate them. You get one, maybe two, and you educate 100.
He hopes the birds will fly towards the hide along the line of trees to our left and swoop in front, giving the two guns the chance of a shot. It works a dream. The birds are turning nicely and half a dozen fall in a couple of minutes. Andy should be shooting fit, having just returned from an enjoyable game shooting trip to France, where he tried out some new ear defenders from Vario. These are the Vario Revolutions. He wore them for driven boar and pheasant. Not only did they protect his eardrums, but Crowman acquired even more superpowers.
What's that?
They work with your trap.
I can't hear you.
You like that one, don't you? Things with these earplugs, you can program them to pick up certain noises. Like when you're talking in the hide, I can have it so I can hear you, I can hear pigeons, and it cuts everything else out along with the shot. But it's just a case of programming in what noises you do and don't want to hear. So Jason's going to program these so that when I go home, he's going to program it so that I can't hear the wife. It's going to be brilliant.
That was coming a mile off.
Because some nights when I get home, she does let me have it if I'm a bit late.
Just go through the modes, because he played me the modes. Take them out of your ear and just play the modes next to the microphone.
You want to hear them, do you? I'll take it back there.
You need to hold it next to the mic, yeah?
Right, we've gone goodbye. There's a mic. Shall we get back into the hide, because there's a few pigeons coming, David? It's not all about you today. I know you haven't been here since for the last 8 months. So, but no, we're getting a hide and do it.
Everything stops for the birds.
I think I can hear it. It says game whisper.
I'll stick them in. So if anything comes on up and ready, I can push you out of the way, David. Right, you've got a big button on these ones. So with my big digger hands, I ain't got to worry about, oh, I've got 2 buttons to push, or I've got to push this and I've got to push another one there. It's just a case of pushing the button and holding it. And then that's turned it off. So I push the button and hold it. And she says, welcome to Vario, and it goes straight back to the mode that you've already had it in. So if I've had it in, like I've got it in keeper mode at the moment in both of them. But if I want to go through, I just push it again. Gamekeeper. Whisper. Quiet. Social. I'm not a sociable person, so I would never use that one.
No.
Clay. Game. And then we're back to gamekeeper. So, but no, that for the time that I've had them, I've only had them probably 10 days now, and I'm loving them. Especially when I was out in France, I was out there. I could hear the boar coming, I could hear the deer coming before they got to me. It was nice. I really did like them. We're going to have to go for a minute, though. There's a pigeon coming. In front. The 2 on their backs, I'll just mention that. That's what it pays to come out and check on your decoys. I'm not saying every time you shoot one, but we've got 2 out here on their backs, and that is a pet hate for a pigeon. Got another one there on his back. They don't like all that, so it pays to tidy your decoys up, keep them tidy. The day's plan is, like I said earlier, we're trying to pull them that way, so I'm going to take all the pattern that way, try and pull them in there so that they come through either between the trees or through here. No, they would have had a bit of grub early this morning. First thing, they would have come here and had a little bit of grub early on, but no, they're not feeding, they're shooting next door, we're shooting, so we're keeping them moving. So now we're plodding away, keep picking the odd ones off, and we're having a good day.
But then the birds stop, really stop, and there's a moment to find out a bit more about this trip, organised by high bird specialist and fellow YouTuber Dave Carey.
So a pretty impressive team of guns, yeah?
Yeah, it was. I'd call it a dream team. There's some good guns there. We had
Dave Carey, Mark Windsor, Ed Solomons, Dave Seldrake, Jeff Bones, Sam Green, Seldrick, which was one of the French lads out there, and yours truly. Really nice lads, and to watch the birds coming across, and I can honestly say there was probably only a couple of chippy birds all day. Everything else was middle of the pattern, stone dead. It was awesome.
Andy clearly had a fabulous time, and Dave's film should be out soon. Right, back to the pigeons, and Andy is not missing much at all. The new fitted stock on his Blaser F16 has made a huge difference. He's also been shooting game bore fibre wads for the whole season, and is now on the pigeons with his own fibre clear pigeon shells.
Well, I've done alright today. We're both shooting fibre today. Yeah, I've been doing alright with it. I just tightened the choke up a little bit, but that's about it really. I just put a little bit more choke in. But no, I've been shooting alright with it. Well, you've seen this morning, I've been shooting quite well with it. So, I've got that long one, Mush. I've got that long one, haven't I? He's better than a Labrador, that +1, I'll tell you.
As we start gathering up the birds, their fronts look to have a blush to them. It's not makeup, it's a mud pack.
Davey's just pointed out this one's got quite like a browny coloured belly, and I just said to him that's where they see it's on his feet, where he's been walking about in the clay and it's just rubbed up on his breast all the way through, and on his tails. Yeah.
So it wasn't a winter plumage?
It wasn't a winter plumage, David. Yeah. And then there was the other long one that went round, and that dropped half like that.
Andy and Gary have 60 birds between them and haven't lost a single bird in the crop. Shooting is one skill, marking the bird is another. The day has been really good. Cold, especially as the bird numbers fall off, but great sport and fun catching up with Gary and Crowman. Andy must have had the Varios set to social. Thank you, gents, and don't forget that the British Shooting Show is just around the corner. We will be there with Andy, Paul, Jason, Tim, Kai, and even Neil is making the journey south. Here's a little bit more about it. See you there. From the NEC now to the wider world of hunting and shooting on YouTube, it is Hunting YouTube. This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. County deer stalking takes the London-based Capercaillie Club to the Dalness estate with our own Jason Doyle. And Fieldsports Channel shareholder James Schneider is the featured stalker in this film. Staying in the UK and at the other end of the price slider, some nice slingshot hunting widely shared on Facebook. Joe Fee Slingshot Hunter is after birds on his permission and in season, all birds eaten, not wasted. Dom Morris Shooting and Falconry shows a golden eagle flown at hares in this film. As ever with eagle falconry, it makes spectacular footage. The big films commissioned for the European hunting show IWA are beginning to show their faces, where the manufacturers go toe-to-toe on dreamy landscapes and slow-mo flickery fires. This is the trailer for the film From Zeiss and Krieghoff with Sabrina Bloch after goats in British Columbia, made by our old friend Mario Toys from Switzerland. The Monocular Video Awards are up and running again. Here's the entry from the Pace Brothers, the Rise and Fall of a Mountain King from the Modern Huntsman channel. Vote for it and others at themonocular.com. Nick King's Squirrel Hunter features Lethal Lee on the trigger for this video, plus he talks about his plans for 2019. Andy's Range teams up with friends for winter roost shooting. Like many pigeon enthusiasts, the end of the pheasant season means he can get to the woods. He's using a Beretta A400 shotgun with an ATEC A12 shotgun moderator. And finally, in Australia, Bolt Action Productions continues his battle to keep foxes under control. Even though it's the middle of summer, the temperature is extreme and the animals are playing hard to get. That's it for this week. I've put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the I symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email me the link, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv. Well, that is it for this week. If you haven't done so already, please pop over to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv, where you can click to like us on Facebook and on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. You can pop your email address into our register page and we'll contact you about this show. Field Sports Britain is at 7 PM UK time every Wednesday. Plus, you can back us. Go to fieldsportschannel.tv/shares. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.